Peter Clotte. Welcome to Africa 54. Here's what's coming up. Thousands of young Kenyans flood the streets of Nairobi, demanding that legislators reject a finance bill that will impose new taxes. Breaking down the language barrier is key to Sudanese refugees building a successful new life in Uganda. And in our entertainment report, Heather Maxwell tells us about World Music Day. Citizens and residents are urged to play music outside in their neighborhoods or in public spaces and parks. We begin in Southwest Africa, where a Namibian court on Friday struck down two colonial-era laws criminalizing same-sex acts between men as unconstitutional in a historic win for the country's LGBTQ community. The High Court in Windhoek declared the crimes of sodomy and unnatural sexual offenses as unconstitutional and invalid in its ruling on the case brought by a local LGBTQ activist. The judgment overturns rarely enforced laws dating back to 1927, which Namibia inherited from the colonial era but maintained after gaining independence from South Africa in 1990. Consensual same-sex activities prohibited in more than half of 54 African countries, according to ILGA, an international organization supporting LGBTQ rights. The Kenya Independent Policing Oversight Authority says it has begun an investigation into police conduct during protests against a government plan to impose new taxes. Meanwhile, on Thursday, one person was killed and at least 200 people were injured across Kenya during the nationwide protest. VOA's Paul Ndiho spoke to Edgar Githua, an international relations, security and diplomatic expert at the U.S. International University in Nairobi, about the ongoing tax crisis.
A way of Kenyans expressing displeasure at the rate at which this taxation is taking place without having a very robust conversation. So I think it is a problem Kenya can surmount. I am glad that the government backtracked on some of those tax measures that were going to be punitive. Kenya has a lot of debt to pay, and this debt, the debtors are calling. Kenya has got to honor its obligations if it wants to continue to have a positive credit rating, because with a bad credit rating, it means no international financial will want to touch you. So Kenya is caught in between having to pay its debt and on time develop, and at the same time get new sources of financing to meet this huge expenditure that the government ambitiously wants to pursue.
Edgar, how about people who argue, for example, the United States is arguably one of the most developed, economically sound countries. Our taxes here are very, very high. For every dollar I make, they take 30% off before I even see it. But when you drive around, when you go to hospitals, when you drive on the roads, you see that money goes to work.
Yeah.
How about Kenyans borrowed an idea from the United States? All these other places that have developed have in some way, shape or form paid higher taxes. Because you cannot just develop without taxing the people.
The US, 30%, some countries in Europe as high as 40%, 45%. But you see the difference is that from the African perspective and the Kenyan perspective, is not seeing the translation of those taxes into services and into infrastructure. So I think now the debate, you've introduced something very new, you've introduced something very interesting, and I think this is where Kenyans are. Can we trust the government? Can the government regain the trust of its people in showing them this is the money we collected from you last year, these are the projects, and to actually see the actualization of those projects?
Politics of the belly. You're talking about hungry people, unemployed people, people who have absolutely nothing, but they're being told in addition to not having food to put on the table, we are going to be charging you an extra 10%, 20%. These are the very people who are taking on to the streets. Now, if you were President William Ruto, what would you do to convince those young people and to tell them, you know what, at the end of the day, I'm doing it for the good of the country?
We have a disgruntled population of young people who are between, let's call them 20 years and 32 years old, who are not gainfully employed and who are feeling the frustration. Some of them are breadwinners, some of them are already married, some of them already have young families, and the frustration is getting to them. They were all united with one message: we are tired. So find out how to reach these various segments, the different segments, so that they end up feeling like this government belongs to us and this government can serve us.
That was Edgar Githua, an international relations, security and diplomatic expert at the U.S. International University in Nairobi, speaking to VOA's Paul Indiho. The Norwegian Refugee Council's director says the neglect of displaced people is the new normal when it comes to crisis across Africa. Non-profits say funding is falling short of what is needed. Henry Wilkins speaks to refugees and non-profits on how the lack of funding is having devastating consequences and asks, is neglect really the new normal?
The UN says about 117 million people were forcibly displaced in 2023, making it the 12th straight year that the number has risen. This month, Jan Egeland, the head of the Norwegian Refugee Council, or NRC, said the utter neglect of displaced people has become the new normal. The NRC says Burkina Faso has more than 2 million displaced people, making it one of the most neglected displacement crises in the world. Fatimata Pisako, a mother of 9, fled northern Burkina Faso 5 years ago and says support has diminished since then.
In the past, we were registered by the government, but we received no support from them. A few charitable organizations helped us, but their support has diminished significantly, and now they come only occasionally.
One senior humanitarian told VOA that the sheer number of global crises are sapping the political will to solve them.
Well, it's true that funding for humanitarian work has increased over the years. It's also true that the numbers of people in need of humanitarian assistance have grown significantly faster than the sector's ability to reach them.
Situations like Pisako's are especially worrying, says Kieran Donnelly.
So basically, these people are stuck. They're effectively warehoused, which is an awful term to use when talking about people. But that's one area in which we just don't see any real investment in finding solutions.
Will Carter is the Sudan country director for the Norwegian Refugee Council.
Never have I known such a miserly funding environment, which has led to sort of pretty, let's say, awful service coverage for people who are starving. And never have I seen such a level of diplomatic and to an extent media neglect over some horrendous crises.
Pisako says she understands the funding problems and prays for the conflict to end.
The international community remains concerned about our situation, and while Burkina Faso's conflict continues, I understand it is not easy for them either. I pray for the conflict to end so that I can return to my village.
Like millions of other refugees, all she wants to do is return home. Henry Wilkins, VOA News.
After fleeing conflict in Somalia, Mohamed Matan overcame many challenges growing up in Kenya's Dadaab refugee camp. Now he teaches young refugees digital skills in the camps. VOA's Ahmed Hussein has more details on Matan's life.
Here in the Gahlei refugee camp in northeastern Kenya, 30-year-old Mohamed Matan is teaching young refugees digital skills and hopes that those skills can lead to better opportunities.
We teach both basic and advanced computer program and other skills like freelancing, data entry, web development and web design to help refugee youth access online jobs.
Matan's parents fled Somalia in 2001 when he was just 7 years old. He initially started doing manual work, but later on enrolled in a UN-supported digital skills training program in the camps. Now Matan hopes the skills they learn will help young refugees avoid harmful activities.
I started this initiative to help youth in the refugee camps avoid drug abuse and other activities that will compromise safety and security. Once a refugee is unemployed, they tend to engage in harmful activities, so we decided to empower them.
Students can attend different classes during the week, while some opt for weekend sessions. Abdurrahman Hassan is one of the trainees and says the program has benefited him.
We have learned digital skills like freelancing online, software and other computer skills that will enable me to access opportunities online and earn a living. We have benefited a lot.
Matan currently offers free classes to over 70 students in the refugee camp and aims to expand the program. However, he says there are some difficulties and needs assistance.
Some of the challenges we face are using old computers and the internet is slow. But if we get support, we hope to expand and improve the machines to keep up with the changing digital technology.
Kenya is home to over 500,000 refugees and asylum seekers, primarily from Somalia and South Sudan. According to the UN, in 2021, Kenya enacted a law that, if implemented, could significantly improve the economic and social integration of refugees within the country. Trained refugees such as Mohammed Matan are optimistic that the skills they have gained here will pave the way for greater opportunities ahead. Ahmed Hussein for VOA News, Dadaab Refugee Camp, Kenya.
One of the chief obstacles for Sudanese refugees trying to build new lives in Uganda is the language barrier. A women's empowerment group in central Uganda is trying to change that. Halima Atumani and Mukasa Francis report from Mukono district.
A basic English lesson being taken by former professional civil servants and their children. These are Arab-speaking refugees from Sudan who are in desperate need of learning the English language to ease their transition into Uganda. Among them is Razan Abdurrahim Muhammad, a chemical engineer by profession and the mother of 4 children. Having escaped from Sudan in March, Muhammad lost contact with her husband.
I want improve myself to be able to apply for any job so that I won't care my children.
Each of the 50 students in the class needs at least 3 months to learn the language. Asmahan Ahmed must mix Arabic and English for easy understanding for her students. With few teaching facilities, the former civil engineer is teaching a lesson about basic English sounds. Most of the refugees, she says, learned only a little English in school before arriving in Uganda.
It was difficult for us to communicate and use it for social purposes, and we find that hardness to explain ourselves, that what we know, than what we want, what we need.
Daula Hussein Hassan was first displaced from Sudan in 2011 during a civil conflict. She sought refuge in South Sudan, but that country's conflict drove her to Uganda in 2014. Now, the executive director of the Kanda Kiat Organization for Women's Empowerment says she has been working to better the lives of these newly arrived Sudanese refugees. Hassan notes that struggles with the English language have left many refugees frustrated regardless of their education and qualifications.
They need real assistance to fix themselves within this community and to feel their dignity. Because if I'm there, if I'm a doctor myself, I'm not expressing to my fellow doctor how I feel, how I'm sick, because of the language barrier. The shame comes up, and a lot of you find you're humiliated.
As of early June, Uganda has registered more than 39,000 refugees from Sudan, with 70% being women and children. Paul Zbigniew-Dime, the senior protection officer with the UN Refugee Agency in Uganda, is working with the Ugandan government to get refugee doctors and professors licensed and certified.
We have been able to profile most of the workers so far at Kiriandongo level, in Kampala level, and we are having those discussions and the work with Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education and Sport to have them being able to exercise an activity here in Uganda.
Hassan hopes that with more support and the expansion of the teaching facility, more refugees will acquire better English language skills to prepare them for what now seems like an uncertain future. Halima Athmani for VOA News, Mukono, Uganda.
Zimbabwe is facing lengthy power cuts because of its dilapidated infrastructure and the impact of recurring droughts on hydropower. To help, the United Nations Development Programme is installing solar panels on government-owned health facilities. Colombo's Mavunga reports from Bulawayo.
Health centers in 15 countries have installed solar power through the United Nations Development Programme's Solar for Health project. That includes more than 1,000 health centers in Zimbabwe, the largest program in the world, says UNDP resident representative in Zimbabwe, Aloyadele Odusola.
If you put all the renewable energy capacity that we have generated in the country, is 13.03 megawatts, which account for 35% of all independent power production. The one that is not done by government is huge as an individual entity.
Zimbabwe has for years been facing energy shortages. Long hours of power cuts affect even hospitals. Dr. Nasisi Janga is the chief medical officer at Impilo Central Hospital, one of the health institutions which have benefited from the Solar for Health project.
All the news that used to make the headlines in the newspapers that Impilo has no electricity for 2 days, 3 days, that should be a thing of the past. It's a real game changer.
Tandazani Chingila is happy his father's prostate cancer operation went through at Impilo Central Hospital without a power shortage.
Impilo is off-grid now, which means Impilo will totally be independent because of this solar, so which is marvelous to us.
Authorities hope the switch to solar energy is seamless at all health facilities in Zimbabwe installed with solar power and access is released to the national grid. Columbus Mavungam, VOA News, Bulawayo, Zimbabwe.
Still to come in our entertainment report, Heather Maxwell tells us about World Music Day. We'll be right back.
The time of the year is here again for the world to shine a light on the rights, needs, and dreams of refugees so they can not only survive but thrive. This week on Our Voices, we focus on the resources available for refugees by refugees, especially for women and girls. We will also highlight refugee women who are champions of change inside and outside refugee camps. Join the conversation each week right here on Our Voices.
You're watching VOA's Red Carpet. My name is Jackson Vunganyi. Thank you so much for joining us each week right here on Red Carpet. We bring you the latest in
In other news, the Eritrean government is maintaining its grip on society by systematically repressing the fundamental rights and freedoms of its people through violent and threatening means. This includes the widespread use of detention and forced disappearance, according to Mohamed Abdel Salam Babakir, the UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in Eritrea. A new initiative to promote climate-friendly cooking in sub-Saharan Africa is introducing stoves that use less charcoal and firewood to improve air quality. Juma Majanga reports from Nakuru, Kenya.
At a local market in Nakuru, a town in Kenya's Rift Valley region, Josephine Abongo is busy attending to customers at her cook stoves shop. Abongo produces and sells clay-molded energy-saving stoves that she says are a great improvement to the open-fire cooking technology used in most rural homes in Kenya.
So what we are doing
is to bring back the traditional technology, but in an improved way, in a digital way, so that it can be used even in urban homes. That way we will save trees, we will save the environment, and we will save our health. We will also save economically, because the economy is currently bad and people don't have money.
The project is being implemented by Practical Action, a development-focused non-governmental organization.
I think it's becoming a talk that we are moving the discussion towards ensuring that our local people transit from the traditional cooking solutions to the new cooking solutions that save their lives.
Health experts say cooking smoke is a major health risk, especially to rural populations in sub-Saharan Africa. Data from Kenya's Ministry of Health estimates that 21,500 premature deaths occur each year as a result of indoor air pollution triggered by cooking.
The use of firewood, as we know, when it burns, that smoke is direct. It's worse than even when you smoke because there is a filter. This is the primary use of the smoke, which has a lot of effect in the lungs.
Unlike traditional stoves, the improved devices are designed so the flame is aimed directly at the cooking pot to avoid wasting heat. They also have just one opening for charcoal and firewood instead of three. And they are constructed with a thick liner made from a special type of clay for heat conservation. All these factors make the stoves up to 40% more efficient, reducing consumption of firewood and charcoal. Practical Action says around 200,000 improved cook stoves have been sold by more than 300 trained entrepreneurs like Abongo. Kagoto Danji Vocational Training Center is one institution that has adopted the cleaner cooking technology. Principal Malaki Manasseh says the move has cut costs for the institution.
We used to have a full-ton lorry of firewood a term, but the way I've implemented it, I've saved almost 80% of that, which is a plus for us.
Last year's International Energy Agency annual conference in Nairobi called for an acceleration of universal access to cleaner cooking through government incentives and subsidies. Practical Action's Team Mwangi says funding remains a major problem for African countries.
Well, we have very good policies, but in terms of funding, then it needs to match the good policies that we have in there.
Kenya aims to achieve 100% access to clean cooking by 2028, in line with UN Sustainable Development Goals. Juma Majanga, VOA News, Nakuru, Kenya.
It's time for Entertainment Report, and joining us now is Heather Maxwell with news on world music today. Hello, Heather.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Peter. If you have been outside today, you might have noticed unusual musical activity in the streets. That's because today is Fête de la Musique, or World Music Day, established in France in 1982, and now a worldwide music day celebrated in over 1,000 cities. People are urged to play music in the streets, in parks, other public places, or attend a concert for free. In Tanzania, folks are celebrating the Day at Swahili experience in Coco Beach with live Singeli music. John Kagaruki is standing by at the event. Hello, John. What is happening there?
Oh, this is the place. This is the place to be. People are coming in. They're screaming in. They're looking forward to this night. It's Singeli all the way. And I got with me here my man Manfongo. He's one of the artists.
Hello. Are you excited to?
Hello.
Are you excited?
Hello.
Are you excited to perform tonight?
Najisikia shauku ya kuperform leo. Na shauku kubwa, nataka nionyeshe jinsi gani muziki wetu wa Singeli unapofanya vizuri, kwa sababu tumeanza
sasa hivi unaanza kusikika mataifa tofauti tofauti, na Mheshimiwa Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan mama yetu, Mheshimiwa Rais, anausapoti muziki wetu, kwa tunataka tuonyeshe ulimwengu.
Yeah, so he's really excited, and he really is excited with the music. It's a new genre, so he's quite keen.
What else is happening there? Is it all Singeli music? And what is Singeli music?
Well, it looks like it's going to be all Singeli night. We actually even had some females called Wamoto, but they're kind of hanging out somewhere trying to do a sound check. But yeah, it's going to be an all Singeli. There's different kinds of music all over the place, but tonight here at Cocoa Beach, it's Singeli.
Can your friend there give us a sample of what he's going to perform later?
Unaweza katoa sample kidogo ya perform.
Yeah. Nasikia inaga ushemeji tunakula. Nasikia inaga ushemeji tunakulaga wanangu, zamu ya nani leo? Zamu ya mani fongo. We zamu yako itakuja kesho. Sijadi baria wangu. Moya nani leo? Zamu ya mani fongo. We zamu yako itakuja kesho. Nune baria wangu.
That's right. She's represented.
That is amazing. So, John, tell us, is World Music Day a big celebration in Tanzania?
Well, it's kind of picking up. We really didn't have it that much because every day is a music day here in Tanzania. It's, you know, this is bongo land, bongo flavor. So we love our music.
Yes, I hear you. I hear you. So can you give us can you move your camera so that we can see what is happening behind you a little bit? I hear the music already starting.
All right. Yeah. Let's see what we. So we've got. Let's see. Back here we got people. Let's see. I'm trying to stream it because that's the performance area right there.
I see you.
And we're by the beach. So this is the beach. Let me just show you what it's like. And it's a full moon tonight. So there you go.
That is amazing. Now, are you going to be dancing? I've heard there's some crazy dance moves in Singeli music.
Oh yeah, Singeli is. Yep, it's got some really interesting moves. That's for sure.
All right.
You've seen that when you were here.
I have. All right, John Kagaruki, thank you so much and have fun. All right.
Thank you.
That wraps up this week in entertainment. Happy World Music Day to you. And Peter, back to you.
Thanks, Heather. Be sure to join Heather Maxwell's lively entertainment report every Friday here on Africa 54. Be sure to watch. Today, enjoy it.